Hello. If you're able to, please close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Relax your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Take another deep breath in. And another breath out. You can open your eyes now. My name is David, and welcome to Mindful Moments. I hope everyone is well today. I'm doing really well, thank you. I made last week's episode on motivation and what it's like to feel motivated, and spent all of last week editing that episode. And I think constantly hearing myself talk about motivation made me feel really motivated. In the last few days, I feel like I've got my spark back a little bit. I feel like there's been a little spring in my step. And it's been great. It's been nice to feel like that. So I've been going about my business, feeling motivated, having a spring in my step. And if you listened last week, you'll know that when the going is good, you should capitalize. So I've been making the most of it. I really have. I also spent my weekend with friends. I spent the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday seeing friends. And that was really wonderful for me too. Because I tend to get a bit anxious when I have a lot on my plate, and I really want to always do all the work I have to do to the best of my ability. When I get into really intense work periods, sometimes I feel like I don't have time to see my friends and I don't have time to see my loved ones. That's really the wrong way to view things. I think if I don't have time to spend time with the people I love, then my life is arranged wrong. And I might be working intensely hard, but maybe for the wrong reasons and in the wrong ways. Seeing my friends, being around the people I love is the thing I love most in the world. And when I'm working hard, is to create space in the future so I can do more of that. However, sometimes I feel like we can drive straight past the opportunities we have in the present to do those things in the name of creating a better future for ourselves. It's tricky. There's no right answer. But this weekend, I chose my friends over work, essentially. And it was the right decision. I very, very rarely regret it. Speaking of last week's episode, it's not often that I do an episode based on what I said last week. But this week, it felt very necessary. I posted a short clip from last week's episode, as usual, on Instagram. And the very first comment came from a listener who said that motivation and discipline sounds like love and passion, and asked if I wouldn't mind talking about that. I believe the comment was something like, sounds like love and passion. Would you be able to talk about that? And I said, you bet I can. I plan to add it to my list of topics to talk about in future, but really it felt like I should be talking about it this week, the more I thought about it. And it was really intriguing. I'd never seen that parallel directly, motivation and discipline, right next to passion and love, but it made a lot of sense. And I hadn't thought about things in that way. So this week, I'd like to talk about that. I'd like to explore my own thoughts on it. As I said, it's not something I've thought about a lot myself before. And sometimes I like to talk about things I haven't fully thought about so I can work through my own thoughts and decide how I feel about them. And also I think it makes for better interactions between all of us. Passion and love are both very individual things. We are all passionate about and love things that are very unique and individual to us, and people who are very unique and individual to us. So this week's episode is one where I really would love interaction. I'd love your commentary. I'd love your thoughts. I'd love to hear about what you're passionate about, what you think about what I say, what your opinions and views are on the differences between love and passion. I'd like us to really make this into a discussion because, as usual, I'm going to talk about this from my perspective, but my perspective is but one, and I want to hear many. So, love and passion, motivation and discipline, how are they alike? To me, and the way I read it, is that discipline is like love and motivation is like passion. Feeling motivated is a wonderful feeling. Feeling passionate about something is a wonderful feeling. Very intense, short bursts, aren't constant, can go away, not possibly to be depended on long term, but something to be made the most of when you feel it. Love and discipline, more stable, more constant, better to act on and act in because they take care of your greater interests, your long-term interests when you put things into perspective. I try to lead a disciplined life. I feel great when I'm being disciplined. And when I feel motivated on top of my usual disciplined life is when I feel best and when I feel I'm capable of my best. In life, I try to lead with love. I try to be a loving person. I try to show love and to be loving above all things. When I feel passionate on top of leading with love is when I feel my best self. When I feel like I'm behaving in a loving manner generally, and I feel passionate about the thing that I'm trying to show love towards or trying to show love in, is when I feel like the best version of myself. And that's where the parallels are. That's why I see parallels. But passion and love are such interesting layered things in themselves that I wanted to talk more about what they mean to me, what those two things mean to me and the differences between them. Passion is a wonderful thing. When I was in school, when I was in sixth form, so that's school between the ages of 16 to 18, and when I was applying for university, so when I was 17, in England, when you apply for university, you write a personal statement to go along with all your grades and all your qualifications, etc. And something we were told to avoid is using the word passion in our personal statements. The assumption is that if you're applying to study a subject, you must be interested in that subject to some extent. So there are better ways to show your interest than to just say, I'm passionate about it, which makes sense. I understood that. But at the same time, when I say I'm passionate about something, that's something that everybody can understand because it's something we've all felt. We've all had something move us to the point where it invites us to take action. I think that's the biggest thing that passion does. It incites action. Even speaking about the concept of passion itself, I find myself feeling like I want to do something and growing excitement. It's like passion makes me want to act. It incites action. When I think about the things that I've been passionate about in life and the things I am passionate about, I realize what a powerful force passion is. Some of the greatest things in the history of the world have been created because of passion. Obviously, being creative and being an artist in the media that I work with, I know about the value of passion. I feel like when I'm passionate about something, I feel like I can move mountains. You know, you feel like you could, not even just that I feel like I could, it's that if I don't, nothing's going to be worth it. I feel like if I don't do this thing, I might explode. I'm so passionate about it. I care about it so much that I need to show that in a tangible way. Otherwise, I don't know where all of this emotion is going to go. That's super powerful. It's a lovely thing to feel. But passion, as I said, has a lot of power. And anything that has a lot of power has positive and negative power to it. Could have positive or negative effects, I should say. Many of the things that I've gained in life have been because of my passion for certain things. And many of the things that I've lost have been because of my passion. I think of the career that I do now. I think of the choices I had, the options I had to do different things. One of these days, I'll get into my career history in my life and what led me to do what I'm doing exactly in detail. But there have been many points at which I've been discouraged from doing the things that I do, where I've had other options which seemed equally positive or seemed like better options at the time. But it was really my passion for creating and the things that I do that led me to carry on doing these things to the extent that to which I do them now. Without passion, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't exist. However, there have been times where my passion has led me to do things, say things, be things that have harmed other people, that have lost me things, relationships, connections. I think of passion as something that can really elicit a lot of secondhand emotions. Being passionate about something can make me really angry. It can make me really excited. It can make me really happy. And because passion is so strong, it's almost like those emotions are so overwhelming that I act on them and then think later. The passion can really get in the way of logic sometimes, which sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. When I've had options where I've had a more traditional job opportunity and I've had an opportunity to create, and I've chosen the opportunity to create because I'm so passionate about creating, to me, that's a good decision. That's the right decision. But it might not necessarily be logical if you look at the odds that I have, etc. And that is a good example of letting passion make my decisions for me. A negative example is if I'm in an argument with somebody and I feel so passionately about my point of view that I manage to alienate that person by letting my passion make me angry that I'm not being listened to, make me frustrated that I'm not being heard, make me contemptuous of that person for not believing what I think they should. And the passion itself, there's no issue with. The anger itself, there's nothing wrong with, but it's my actions after that there might be something wrong with. And as I said, I've damaged friendships, relationships, connections because I've been so passionate about something at the root, but on top of that, or stemming from that passion, there has been negative emotion and there has been negative action. So passion is a very powerful thing and something to be aware of and wary of. And that is why, for me, love is the most important thing. And love acts itself out in my life the same way as discipline does. As I've said before, being disciplined to me, I don't want to be disciplined because I think I deserve to be punished or because I think I need to be better or anything like that. It's because being disciplined for me is one of the ultimate forms of self-care. It's putting my well-being above everything all the time, even if in a moment I feel like doing something or don't feel like doing something that's good for me. Being disciplined makes me do the things that are good for me overall in the grand perspective of things. And I think leading with love and acting with love does exactly the same thing. Love is kind, love is patient, love is unselfish. And for me, those are the biggest values that I want to act on in everything that I do. If, when all is said and done, there are 3 adjectives that I would want someone to describe me as, there would be loving, patient, and generous. All those things are definitely things that I consistently continue to work on. I don't know, you'd have to ask someone who knows me rather than ask me myself. I don't know how naturally I feel they come to me, but they are all things that I try to exhibit in everything I do every day. And those are the only things really that, as a person, wipe power into the world. Those are the things I really want people to get from me. Leading with love means that my passion can always be directed in the right areas and in the right ways. And that my actions are always worthy of what a wonderful thing love is. I am in a really loving relationship. My partner is a wonderful person inside and out. Being in a loving relationship is a huge privilege. And it's me who says, I love my partner. I have chosen to declare that I love my partner and build a life with her because of my love for her. When we decide, or when we realize, and when we declare and when we act on love we have for someone or something, that comes with a great deal of responsibility, a great deal of responsibility. Because having love and being loved in return is a huge privilege. The fact that I love my partner means that I have changed in a lot of ways since we've been together. Everybody is difficult in their own way, individually. All of us are difficult. If you don't think you're difficult in any way whatsoever, your ego is in the way a little bit and you need to get real. I mean, sometimes I think it's a wonder that any of us, or that we manage to build successful relationships, because all of us have such different backgrounds, such different upbringings, have been through such different experiences. And then you meet a person and try and bring all of those things together and get along in a way that's compatible. And it's quite amazing that any of us really manage to do it. To do so takes a lot of compromise, takes a lot of energy, all of that kind of stuff. And all of those things are worth it because at the base of everything you have is love. Love is what you are both committed to above everything else, and love for each other. So changing in the ways that I need to, getting over my own feelings, not acting out of my own emotions all the time, and making sure that I'm the most loving I can be is my responsibility because I've chosen this wonderful thing that is love and chosen to act in love. And the same with discipline, with love, when I am loving consistently over a long period of time, it brings the most wonderful fruits. Being a loving person in my friendships and relationships is why I think A, I have such loving friendships and relationships, and B, why, well, one of the many reasons that I feel very, very deeply loved in return by the people who do love me. I really do. And I'm very grateful for that. I haven't always. And I think that's the big thing. Love takes vulnerability. And a lot of the time you put vulnerability in front of the wrong people and you pay a certain price for it. That's why I think it's one of the strongest things to do, to have been hurt and to continue to love. But the relationships I have in my life now are such because having led with love consistently in all the things I do, I have met other people who are the same and behave in the same way. With that comes a great deal of responsibility. So as I said, if I bring it back to my relationship, my romantic relationship to my partner, who I love very much, in our relationship, everything comes back to the fact that we love each other very much. Logistically, if things are difficult, emotionally, if one of us is going through a difficult time, or both of us are going through a difficult time, if we're arguing, if our circumstances are tough, things always need to come back to the fact that we love each other. And the love itself and the strength of that dictates our actions, carries things through, and makes sure that we keep things together and that we always treat each other the way that a person should be treated, no matter how we feel outside of that. The love is the bedrock that stabilizes everything. In any relationship, any long-term relationship, I'm lucky to have a relationship, again, where I feel deeply passionate about my relationship. I feel deeply passionate about my partner. It's quite rare that I don't. But if I don't, there's nothing wrong with that. It just means there are other things that are at the forefront of your mind. Like motivation, passion comes and goes. People who have been together, you see people who have been together for decades talk about how they keep the spark, the passion, the magic alive in their relationship, and how you have to find new ways to do that over time. And if it weren't for love, you wouldn't do that. If it weren't for being disciplined consistently, you wouldn't get to new places where you feel motivated and you're able to use that motivation to its fullest extent because the discipline itself isn't there. Same with love. Moments where there is a lot of passion and excitement in my relationship exist because the love is there consistently and day to day, even if we're not doing the most exciting things or there's not much to be particularly excited about. Those times will come back around and the love is what's really more important because that's what's there all the time. I talk about that in the context of my relationship, and it extends way further than that. It goes to work, to, as I said, I have a career that I'm very passionate about. I feel like every other week I say how much I love what I do, because I do. I really love what I do. Some of it sometimes is quite difficult. I don't always feel passionate about doing this stuff. Even today, this specific episode today, because these are quite complex topics. And you know me, I like to discuss things and get my point across well. And when things are complex, I feel like it's less likely that I'm going to do that. So if I wake up on a day where I'm going to discuss something a little bit complex, I will feel a little bit anxious. I'll feel a bit stressed to start the episode. I'll be thinking, about the logistics around it. What time am I going to film? And the smallest things, when the smallest things just get to you, like the microphone stand isn't attaching properly. This is really annoying. All that to say, sometimes I don't feel very passionate about this. I don't, but I do love it. Really love it. And I'm in this position because I love it. When we act in love, or we act in passion, but when we act in love or do something because we love something, it creates responsibility for us in the future. Because love is a long-term thing as well. It's not something that comes and goes. It is something that stays for a while. It doesn't come easily and doesn't leave easily either. So if we do something or act with love in mind, usually it will create situations where we need to remember that love and hold on to that love to stay consistent or to keep that thing going when we don't feel the passion that accompanies that love at the beginning. Sometimes when things start and we feel love at its height, that's when there's a lot of passion with it too. And as passion goes, we have to make sure that we continue to act with the love that's there. When passion goes, we feel more of the negative emotions that have always been there, but just when there was passion, the negative emotions didn't feel like there were as much of a thing. Then when the passion goes, you feel the negative emotions and forget that the love is there. But the love is still there. The love is really still there. And you have to always remember that. In the times where I don't feel passionate about creating, I don't feel passionate about the videos I make or the music I make or anything that I do, and I do it anyway, when I look back at those times, I feel very grateful that I managed to lean on the love and use the love to motivate me. And again, that's why I try to lead with love and live with love as well, because when you do so, there's very little to regret when you look back. Even the times where I've acted with love and led with love and it hasn't gone the way I wanted it to, or things haven't gone the way I've expected, I've never regretted it. I feel like leading with love is one of the strongest things a person could do. So yeah, if we return to the example of in our work or the things that we say we're passionate about, there's no one that makes us declare our love for things. There's no one that makes us act on the love that we have for things. But when we do, it creates a sense of responsibility. It creates a responsibility. And the reason for that responsibility is because nothing wonderful or nothing hugely worth having comes without responsibility. The responsibility is the price for the benefits of love. But the benefits of love are so huge that it's worth that responsibility each and every time. It's hard to remember that when passion disappears and when passion goes. It's hard to remember the reasons that you've taken on this responsibility. But when passion returns, because you've acted out of love and continued to act with love in mind when the passion wasn't there, the feeling is twice as amazing. So yeah, leading with love leads you back to passion. Passion comes and goes, love remains. And love is one of the best and strongest things to act out of because it's also pure in nature and pure in intention. This isn't the last time I think I'll talk about love because there's so much to get into. Today's was specifically aligning love and passion next to discipline and motivation. But love itself, I could talk about forever. And there are so many layers to it. There's so many layers to all of those things. But I hope today I made sense. As I said, I'm working through a lot of these thoughts myself. But essentially, if I were to round everything up, I'd say love is like discipline in that acting out of it consistently over time makes us better and makes those around us better too. It makes our lives better. It gives us a lot of responsibility, but that responsibility is hugely worth it for the benefits that come from acting out of those things. Motivation and passion are like each other in that they are extremely intense. They incite us to action. They push us to do things. And some of the greatest things we wouldn't have if it weren't for a burst of motivation or a strong feeling of passion. When those feelings go, as they do, being as intense as they are, it's important for us to realize what the bedrock is for everything. It's important to remember that we do things out of discipline because we want X, Y, and Z long term. It's important to remember that we do things out of love because love is most important to us. And then when we feel love and feel passion on top of it, when we feel disciplined and feel motivated on top of it, that is as good as anything can feel. It's a wonderful feeling. And one that I hope comes frequently to all of us. Thanks for listening to my thoughts today. This was an interesting one. I really enjoyed this. And I'll definitely come back to some of the nuances in this topic because, as I said, today was a broad umbrella, but I feel like there's much more to unpack here. And as I said at the beginning, I am really, really eager to hear what other people think and what other people have gone through in terms of these things, love and passion. I'm really, really interested for us to have a discussion on this one. Even if you never say anything back though, I hope you've enjoyed listening today. Thank you for being here. Whatever you're doing this week, I hope you have a wonderful one.